Do you ever sit and think, wow, remember when somebody said this or that 10, 15 to 3 years ago, 6 months ago, whatever? It's because every word that we say matters, whether it be good or bad. So I really relinquished the idea of people need to think about what they're saying before they say it. And I'm a pro component of don't say anything at all, walk away, process what you want to say because once it comes out, you can't put it back. There's no rewind, there's no take it back, there's none of that. You can say I'm sorry and you can hope the person can forgive you, but you have to understand you don't always have that opportunity. So why not just stop and think about what you're saying first? I think oftentimes, we get into situations where we say something to our significant other, our kids, or, our parents, our family, our friends, our coworkers, our boss, whoever. And we don't realize once those words are out there, they're stuck there sometimes, like they're permanently stuck. And it's going to take somebody processing what you've said and really working through it to actually get to a point of being able to live without thinking about that. I can tell you that in a million years, I have heard so many times that people are feeling the way they feel because of words that have been spoken. Um, and it's important that we talk about that. We're all, anybody watching this is going to be a grown adult. So it's important that we understand that we need to do better. And no matter what you're feeling, you don't have the right to strip something or somebody's happiness or somebody's feeling or whatever, somebody's day away from them by what you have to say. I mean, you can, but it doesn't do anything. It's not a benefit. It's not healthy. Okay. If somebody's messed up, you don't really need to tell them you messed up. You know what? They probably already know that, especially if they're close to you by your actions, what you've already said. It doesn't need to be anything of anger, though. You can say easily, I'm disappointed, or I wish this, or, there's positive ways to say constructive feedback that you don't have to hurt somebody. Mightn't they have to, get defensive or whatever because they have to think about it for a minute? Yes. But what they won't hold on to is something that you said that's out of anger. And the reason that I speak about this is because I know friends. I know friends that have been told horrible things and it's a core memory to them. It will be with them for a long time. And it's from somebody that, that loves them and it came out of their mouth to this person and now they have to live with that idea of that running through there. Like it's going to have a permanent free spot for a while. And I just don't think it's fair. I don't think that people and as a whole, I don't think we understand the effects of our words and what it truly means when you put something out there. I try really hard to think about, what I'm saying, the reason I'm saying it, and is it going to be appropriate? And I slip sometimes. I slip up a lot. I'm not perfect by all means, but it's probably why I say we need to think about it as a whole. Not me, not you, not them, not everybody needs to think about it because we're not perfect. And sometimes things do slip, you know, and as easy it is to slip, it could have been just as easy to change that thought process and not do it. Just stop. If somebody's struggling, in an addiction, and you say to them, well, why don't you just go eat sugar if they're having a sugar addiction? Or why don't you just go drink a beer? Or if you say something like that to an addict of any sort, it goes right here because it's not supportive. And then they wonder what they've done. And then it can help them foster the idea that, well, if I'm a fuck up anyway, so why not go do it? Excuse me for saying that, but it's true. Your words matter. You could have clearly said, I know you're struggling today. Do you want to hang out and have a conversation? positive. That's very positive, inviting. It doesn't leave negativity out there. So it fosters a better thought process for somebody perceiving that conversation. Um, a lot I hear today in today's society is, "Oh, I was just joking. I was just kidding." No, what you're saying is not a joke to the person hearing it. What you're saying is not kidding to the person hearing it. Once it's said, it's there. It's there. And then they go home or they sit in their room or they drive down the road thinking about it and just trying to figure out what that meant, you know? So it truly is important that we think about it as people, how to be better. How to be better. Like, can we just work on being better? Can we just think about what we say before we say it? Can we realize that everything that we say matters? Everything we say. There's no take backs. There's no oopses. I mean, I guess there is if you're a person that doesn't care, but the person that you've affected gave that a free parking space in the parking lot. And it'll be there and it will linger. And it could be the last thing that you said to somebody. You never know. It's something I always try to put in perspective too. Like, my last words, I don't want to be the last words forever. And I never know what tomorrow brings or the next second means or the next minute. So, what I have to say, I should really think about that because what if? What if I don't have a chance to say sorry? What if that doesn't happen? What if that's not an opportunity given? You know? And I know like people are affected years later about what parents said or what family said or friends said, or there's a long-term effect. And I'm seeing it and I'm hearing it. I hear it from friends, I hear it from client, I hear it from family, I hear it from everybody. And it's sad that we still have people out there that just let things roll off of their tongue without thinking. It's sad. um i I'm sure you guys know by now, I do engage a lot with YouTube, other fellow YouTubers, but I had to put some boundaries in place because what I'm hearing is not what I want to have in my life. I don't want to hear people use words that are impactful for somebody else, even if it's just for spite or funny or ha ha. No, we don't do that. We can't do that, especially when we're talking about, like over the internet. Like, if our tone's not being perceived right, if something's happening and it's not being perceived what you wanted it to perceive, that even makes it worse. So we really just as a whole need to think about what we're saying. Am I saying you can't joke with people? No, no. You know who you're engaging with. You know what you're talking about. You know the purpose or the meaning behind what you're saying. So let that be it. I'm not saying you cannot joke around. I can't. I'm not. But just be mindful of what you're saying and the tone and the purpose, the reason. Is the other person hearing it coherent enough to understand what you're saying? Is it something that should even be a joke? Is it something that needs to be said? Because there's a lot that people say that don't need to have any presence in the world. Like, just should have never been said. And I'm guilty of that. I've said things like I can remember, like, in my head, like I can remember a lot when I was younger. And I can remember telling my mom at one point, I hate you. And I know that I'm not alone. I know multiple kids that my kids did that. And I know now that I regret saying that, because what if my mom that would have been the last thing she heard? That would have been horrible. That would have lived on with me. It would have tortured me for the rest of my life, you know? It doesn't torture me now because I'm able to say that was wrong and I won't do that again. Um, you have to think about and be mindful when you're talking to your kids. I intervened the other day. I heard someone say, "You're stupid." No, don't tell your kids you're stupid. Let's not do that. That's not okay. That's not okay. No matter the reason, it's not okay. It's just not. Because what happens is that if you're going to allow yourself to say it once, you're probably going to say it again and again and again. So therefore, let's just not start that because it'll make you feel better in the end. Um, so if you have to find ways to stop and think and process what you need to say, do it. My biggest thing is when people are arguing, I always tell them, if you're arguing with your spouse, your kid, your mom, your brother, your cousin, your aunt, your best friend, whatever, ask for time. Hey, I can't handle this right now. Is there a way that we could like come back to this in 15 minutes? And that way I don't say something I don't mean. It's okay to ask for that. And matter of fact, I encourage you to do that. Now, the other person, depending on their mindset, they might not want to do it. And if they don't want to let that intervene or they don't want that break, set on it, still set on it. Try to manifest positive in your mouth. Don't put no negativity out there because once you do, it's there. It's there. I think that if we all sit down and think about what I'm saying right now, that every word matters, we would all, and put it in our head and think about that when we're talking, we would all have a little bit different outlook. We'd all say something a little nicer. We would probably hold back some. So what I want you to put into mind, if it's not going to be beneficial, if it doesn't help them, if it doesn't have any gain, if there's nothing to gain, don't put it out there. It's not worth it. It's just not. It doesn't do any good. If it's not beneficial to the person that you're trying to talk to, let it be. Because I don't think that anybody wants to say something in spite to people that we care for, and then years later realize that that's something that taunted or tortured them. If you need to be serious, if you need to have a serious conversation, then have that serious conversation, but don't say words that will impact forever. Like, you're dumb. Don't do that. You're a beetle. Don't do that. Just make sure you're modifying what comes out of your mouth to be what it needs to be. Make sure you've had a good thought process before it comes out of your mouth, because the last thing you want to do is hurt somebody or put them in a place that you didn't mean to, or have them thinking something that wasn't meant to be. And there's times that there's misunderstandings, and that's going to happen. But let's try to work on it as much as possible. How about that? So that's all I have for now. I do want to thank you guys for listening. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell so that you can hear the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.